Lightning like Steve McQueen. I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Morning Show, the top morning show in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines and, most importantly, provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight. What do I mean by that? I mean that I only speak to transportation professionals on any of my shows, whether it's this weekday podcast or live show or my twice a week long form podcast. And it's because I only want to put the right information out there, you guys. I only want to put information out there from people who have done what you're looking to do or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve, so you can put that out there that you can apply, utilize, and see a meaningful difference in your business, in your life. It's one of the many reasons why I proudly fly this American flag behind me every single day. A, we're the greatest nation on earth, but B, I'm living my American dream, and I want to help each and every one of you live yours as well. It's Monday. It's DOT Blitz week this week. So we're going to do a little bit of a, after we're done giving a shout out to my sponsors, you guys, we're going to do a little bit of a strategy on kind of how to navigate through this week out there when it comes down to capacity and everything, and kind of really what that means. But before we do anything, as always, you guys got to give a shout out to my friends over at VHub. You guys, vhubapp.com. Whether you're a broker, carrier, or a shipper, we all need access to trailers at some point in time. And the best part about with what VHub has, you get paid to move these trailers, you guys. You can, and like they got drop trailer pool capabilities right now. What is that? What is a drop trailer pool though? So it's like out here in Staunton, Wisconsin, you guys, they have 100, and let me pull up the exact number. They got 140 trailers left needing to get over to Milton, Ontario. If you have a shipper in this area, you guys, you can grab them from Staunton, bring it down and drop them at your shipper. As long as they go over to the GTA, the Greater Toronto area, they just got to end up in Milton, you guys, and you get paid 1,000 Canadian to do each of them. They also have the same amount of trailers, excuse me, not the same amount. They also have 139 trailers, in Paragould, Arkansas, needing to get up to Mississauga. Same thing, you guys. If you're a broker or a small fleet, getting in the door at some of these large enterprise shippers requires assets. This gives you that capability to go on there because, again, they don't just have to pick up in Paragould. You can, move them over to Louisville or Cincinnati or whatever that looks like, you guys. So you got to think creatively. You got to think outside of the box. And then furthermore, they have like 240. This one's going down. These ones are going quick, you guys, out of San Diego, going to various locations throughout the United States, you guys. All dry vans, they're out there. Hit them up, vhubapp.com. My friends Xavier Campos, Stacy Steen, Zach Lonergan, they'll all be in the audience. Just do me a favor. Let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. Whitney Young, he says, good morning. I like that podcast on Friday with Chris. It got me pumped up. Great job. I appreciate that, man. Chris Douglas is he's also with SPI Logistics, where I have my brokerage through. And hearing his story about like working in the industry for like 20 some years and then jumping out and doing his own thing, man, I just loved it. I loved hearing it. It was a really good episode. And Tracy St. Clair, good morning. Blast from the past, Caroline Lyle, where have you been? Let's fucking go. You are right. Good to see you this morning. Tony Darnell, hi yo. He does not need drayage, everybody. Just saying out there. Jonte Reed, good morning. Thank you for tuning in. Flo, what is up? Good morning. Thanks for tuning in. Sunny Sharma, good fucking Monday morning. Orange Shirt Gang. Stephen Thompson, good morning. Thanks for tuning in. All right. Yeah. So this week, you guys, DOT inspection week. This is one of those ones where it's, I don't know. It's always my favorite week to operate in because I think that, it happens to, it affects capacity a lot. And Cody, it's funny you bring this up. Cody Miller says, good fucking morning, freight enthusiasts. Blitz week shouldn't impact capacity as much this year as some years past. But there will be some added opportunities this week. So let's get out and get after it. And that's dude, you were reading my fucking mind, bro. Cause I was going to talk about that. Blitz week normally affects capacity. Normally it affects it at a pretty decent rate for the spot market, and that's one thing that I understand from a driver's perspective, because if I was out there doing the right thing, the DOT, they like messing with people, maybe not, but like allegedly, I'm sorry, I've been advised by my attorney in some of these instances to put allegedly out there in front of that. So allegedly, and I wouldn't want to get messed with either. So I know a lot of drivers who just shut down because they just don't want to deal with it, right? But this year, I think, is going to be different to what Cody was bringing up. And I think it's because it's going to be very market driven. I think that at the end of the day, people have to keep moving this year because the freight opportunities are not as prevalent as they normally are, right? So I think that although in some years past, there would be a big effect due to DOT Blitz Week. My gut is telling me that it's probably not going to hit this year. It's going to be affected to some degree, right? Like there's going to obviously be some change, but again, where's the opportunity? I think if you're a sales rep, this is the week. Well, every week you should be pushing the limits, but like this week especially, this is where you're going to see a lot of those prospects that you've been going after, because there's going to be brokers out there and providers out there that don't think like Cody Miller and I in this instance, where they think that capacity is going to be gone and they're just going to kind of like sit on the sidelines this week, and they can go ahead. But that opportunity that you're looking for, I think, is going to present itself this week. So you need to be prepared, fully prepared for when that opportunity comes about this week. It's going to be a last minute one. You guys, it's going to be a last minute one, but it's always about service, right? Service, price can kind of get you in the door to a point, but service is what really separates you, right? And then service and communication is key. I've interviewed a lot of shippers on this show, you guys, and they talk about this, right? They talk about this in depth. Service and communication are the two most critical components to building and keeping a relationship with the shipper, because they all understand that you can have a bad week of service or a bad month of service, but you can't have bad communication at all. So I think that, as we're going into this week, be open to that opportunity that's going to come about with that new prospect, or hell, even that new shipper, right? That new shipper that you've been scraping and clawing to try and get a couple of opportunities, it's going to come about this week. These are separators, right? Because as most people go and kind of run for the hills and try and wait for these storms to pass and wait for these things to go by, because everybody gravitates towards easy, this is where your opportunity lies. All right. So don't lose sight of that this week at all. And then furthermore, if this is going to be a reason for you to not want to work, you better strap in, because this is the way that the market is going to be probably for the foreseeable future. I know that my crystal ball is stating, and this is just based off of my industry experience, we're going to see a little bit of rebound later this year. But if you're not going to take advantage of these moments, if you're not going to really push it in this market that we're in right now, people are going to fucking steamroll you. People are going to steamroll you. They're going to gobble up your market share. And then you're going to be sitting there wondering, where is all the freight at right now? And then it's also shout out to my friends over at Green Screens. They're new fans of the show and support, longtime fans of the show, but they're new out there, you guys, and I'm working with them. This is a great week to help price. This is a great opportunity to use something like Green Screens to go out there to help you accurately price your freight, because rates are going to go up this week, right? Spot market rates are going to go up. And this is going to give you the opportunity to get ahead of it, so you're not stuck holding the bag, or you're out there actually accurately pricing it. And this is one of those weeks for my driver friends out there. Rates are going to increase this week, all right, because there is going to be people are not going to move, and therefore capacity is going to tighten up. And this is an opportunity for you guys to get out there and recoup a little bit of that money. And then, we got this week is Blitz week. Next week is a little bit but the next week's a holiday week, right? At the end of the day, because Monday the 29th is Memorial Day, whatever I always mess that one up. You guys know what I mean, though. Monday the 29th is a holiday. So freight is affected next Friday, the 26th, right? Capacity, all of that stuff. People are going to be home by Thursday, the 25th to enjoy that holiday weekend. So keep that in mind. This could be an opportunity these next couple of weeks. My gut is telling me, just based off of experience, you're going to start to see an uptick in spot market rates here over the next couple of weeks due to the fact that it's a holiday. It might even last the next 3 weeks with the holiday being that Monday. So keep that in mind as you're bidding out freight and everything. You guys, a company like Green Screen can help put you in a great opportunity to stay competitive and everything. Right. Alexis Bailey, she's watching over on YouTube. Good morning. Patty Hinajosa, I'm sorry, I'm butchering your last name. My apologies. Let's get this show on the road. Thank you for tuning in. As always, Patty. Zach says freight never stops using B-Hub. Helps keep that consistent revenue stream. For traders in the shop, if you want to increase your territory of business, help him, hit him up. Hit him up, you guys. All right, sorry about that. I drink probably an unhealthy amount of coffee, but it's better than drinking an unhealthy amount of other things as well. All right, Stacy Steen, good morning. Thank you for tuning in. All right, first article we're going to break down, you guys, and the next two are kind of intertwined. They're not intertwined, but the topic is relevant to both of them. And this is from ttnews.com. Antoine Battle, good morning, gang. All right, you guys, and before that, every single link to the articles that I break down, I put up over on the YouTube channel, as well as the Coffee with the Freight Coach audio only replay, because I want you guys to do your own research on this. I'm just putting out my perspective on what a lot of this information means from my 3 truckload experience in the industry, and I'm being completely sarcastic with that, but take it for what it's worth. I've been doing this for a little bit, though, you guys, and I just want to provide an alternative perspective of what we can do to stay in business and what a lot of this information means out there. So yeah, we're going to break that down. And then also, you guys, I do stream live on YouTube as well. I've been hearing a lot lately about some connectivity issues and not being notified on some stuff over on LinkedIn. So if you're on YouTube, or if you want to watch this stream on YouTube, just look for the Freight Coach on there. You'll see me on there. I go live every single day on there, as well as LinkedIn and Twitter. All right, first article is from ttnews.com. U.S. Express cuts corporate staff ahead of Night Swift deal. Cuts made in response to freight demand and shipping slowdown. This was expected, and this is something. Every time you see a merger, every single time you see an acquisition, any of this stuff, job layoffs and job loss is going to happen. I think that it's held firm with that over at least the last couple of years. And since I started paying attention, I'll put it that way. It seems every single time there's a merger or any M&A activity, unless there is they're just absorbing the company and they're going to let them operate on their own. But anytime that they're going to be rebranding and everything under the same logo, there's always going to be layoffs in that. At least, okay, allegedly there's going to be layoffs. Let me put that out there. All right. After losses widened in the first quarter of the year, U.S. Express has cut its corporate staff for the 3rd time in the past year as the Chattanooga-based trucking giant prepares to merge with the larger Knight Swift Holdings. U.S. Express declined to detail the number of staff reductions it has made this spring in preparation for its merger with Knight Swift, who's based here out of Phoenix, Arizona, Freight Valley. Shout out to my friends over at Freight Vana for coming up with that one, and announced its plans in March to buy it for more than $800 million. In its statement on May 12th, U.S. Express spokeswoman Mary Fortune said that the staff cuts were made in response to the slowdown in shipping activity. We did recently make the difficult decision to reduce roles in a few business areas in response to the challenging market conditions. Our industry is experiencing a prolonged lack of freight demand that has negatively affected trucking and logistics companies. We are no longer expected. The latest round of layoffs at U.S. Express job cuts, that they have cut 140 jobs from its corporate headquarters in both May and August of 2022. And then U.S. Express has about 1,400 employees at its corporate office, and has a total of 10,000 employees and contractors working as drivers, maintenance workers, and other logistics roles. I personally think that, again, this is just my opinion. They just cut it because they were removing redundant roles that they didn't need anymore, right? And it's just part of it. And I think that no matter what, if you were affected by these, send me a DM. I know a lot of people who are hiring right now. I know a lot of recruiters in the industry. I know the right people. Send me a DM if you were affected by these layoffs. I'll gladly put you in contact with people to help you get back on your feet and get another job and everything out there. If you need it, just hit me up, DM me on LinkedIn or any other social media platform. All right. Company losses grow. It says in the financial filing released May 10th, U.S. Express reported that company losses widened across most of the business in the first quarter compared to a year ago as the freight market slowed. It had a net loss of nearly $27.1 million or 52 cents a share in the first quarter of this year, compared to a net loss of $8.9 million or 18 cents per share a year earlier. U.S. Express said revenues prior to fuel surcharge declined 5.2% from $464 million in first quarter of 2022 to $437.8 million in Q1 of 23. For the 3 months that ended in March 31st, the primary factors driving the decrease in total operating revenue were decreased pricing in our truckload segment, decreased loads in our brokerage segment, and decreased miscellaneous revenues, U.S. Express said in its financial report. The company did not disclose a news release or conduct a call with industry analysts about the latest quarter activity as it's done in the past. Chances are it's because they are now acquired and working under Knight-Swift's umbrella. So that would just be my guess on why they didn't do it. While revenues dropped for the trucking giant, they reported salary and other employees' costs rose 7.5% to $181 million from $169 million. All right. So yes, obviously when rebids happen, when you're out there bidding your RFP freight, which I'm assuming, that's the majority of the freight that U.S. Express was moving on their truckload, dedicated truckload, as well as their brokerage. So yes, there's going to be a drop in revenue from that. It's just interesting to see, where things are, from different companies' perspectives, because yes, revenues are down, but I don't know. I like studying a lot of this because I'm a firm believer that a lot of this stuff that you're looking for in your business leaves clues, right? And how do you apply this? What can you take from a lot of this information and how can you apply it to your business? And I think that at the end of the day, and I was having a great conversation with somebody on Friday about this, about how, the mistakes that they made in business. And they didn't even call it a mistake. They said that, they what they learned and, growing too big too quick and not really having a strategy. And I think that even large carriers and large providers aren't immune to when the market's hot, right? Like they're out there trying to make as much money as possible as well. So it's like you have to take a lot of the decrease in revenues. I don't want to call it with a grain of salt, but you have to take a lot of these decrease in revenues and compare it to where the market was at this time last year and everything. And I think it paints a pretty clear picture on, yes, there has been a slowdown in freight, but that doesn't mean that there's not opportunities out there. There are still plenty of opportunities out here. I'm not going to get into the last part of this article because it was talking about some class action lawsuits that the company is going through, but all of those essentially are going to be worked out or settled by the time that the merger goes through, from what I saw in there. So yeah, it isn't anything that, because again, I don't want to shit on any company who's going through any pending legal battles or anything like that. I don't fuck with that. I don't care who the company is or what the thing is. I don't want to shit on anybody for, because lawsuits are going to happen. Things are going to happen in business and everything. And so hopefully that all that stuff gets worked out. But that article was from ttnews.com, and it's U.S. Express cuts corporate staff ahead of Knight-Swift deal. I personally think that this is going to be a continuing trend throughout the year. I think that, and you saw this over the last couple of years with a lot of companies that were just mass hiring, right? Like everyone was hiring. And I think that when the markets shift like this, when there are changes, people unfortunately lose their jobs because businesses are going to protect themselves, right? They're going to look at their P&L. They're going to look at payroll. They're going to look at bonus. They're going to look at all of that stuff and be like, where can we save money? How can we, especially if they're publicly traded, their fiduciary responsibility at the end of the day, well, at least the CEO is to the shareholder. It's not to the fucking employee. And that's a tough pill for a lot of people to swallow. But I think that at the end of the day, this isn't going to be the end of it. But I think rest assured, if you're like, and I say this often, if you're really that badass out there fucking performing and making stuff happen, you're going to be just fine. You're going to be just fine. And say you were one of those individuals at some of these companies that are reducing staffs, you're going to get swooped up because every business owner I know is hiring talent. They'll always hire talent no matter what. They're not going to let some of these A players go away right now, because, I think that in the job market that's out there right now, from a business owner's perspective, you're going to be able to get A talent for, I don't want to call it a bargain, but for below where it would have been 12 months ago from that. So, all right. And this leads into the next article. They're kind of related, but not at the same time. This is from the Wall Street Journal. And it was pandemic era investor fever eases, money gets tight for logistics startups. Founders and investors say that the days of growth at all costs are over, and venture capital firms rein back in the risk taking. And, and again, that's why it was, for me, it's like the relation in between layoffs and everything is VC capital. There's no more blank checks, right? There's no more, what do you need, 15 million? And I'm not going to say that it's not going to happen, but not at the scale that it has been over the last couple of years. I think that you're going to start seeing some very strategic investments into where the industry is headed, and you're going to see companies still be able to raise capital and everything. It's just not going to be as Wild West-ish as it was here over the last couple of years. It goes on to say logistics and supply chain startups, darlings of the venture capital world during the pandemic, are struggling to raise funds as investors tighten spending. Funders say they are growing more cautious with seed and mid-stage investment amid rising interest rates that are raising the cost of capital and concerns over the direction of the broader economy. In the past, it was growth at all costs, said Paul Hayo. Excuse me, I apologize, Paul, for that, but he's partner at Portola Valley, California-based Canvas Ventures. And he said until recently, it was considered okay for a startup to churn through 10 million a month, but the appetite to burn at that much level is much less now. Venture firms concluded that more than 110 logistics deals between 21 and 22, distributing funds totaling 2.1 billion annually, more than double the deal values in each of the previous years. According to PitchBook data, many of the investments were focused on startups that brought new digital tools and automation to logistics operations, offering the potential to untangle snarled supply chains and get goods moving faster. So far this year, firms have concluded 21 logistics funding deals for a total of 400 million, putting the sector on track to be closer to annual investments of 2018 and 2019, before the COVID happened. Jonathan Poma, he's the co-founder and CEO of Loop Returns, a Columbus, Ohio-based e-commerce returns software management company, says he saw a change in mood between investors that raised 65 million in the summer of 2021 and sessions that raised 50 million in December. I think that there was far less willingness to invest in ambition and much higher burden of proof that performance was there. And I think that that's one thing to keep in mind, kind of like the money's going to be there, but like to what Jonathan Poma said here is that the proof of performance has to be there. And it can't be that napkin idea anymore. Like, you have to have a proven concept if you're going to be able to raise any form of capital here coming up. And who knows, I don't know how long this is going to last from that perspective, and I think a lot of it just depends on the feds. It depends on interest rates. It depends on the macro economy as a whole, on where things are going to go. And it goes on to say that the tight funding environments is hitting across a swath of industries as a whole. It's a sharp turnaround from 2021, when surging freight volumes, a historic bull market, and a slew of companies going public through mergers with special purpose acquisitions, or SPACs, SPACs, fueled strong interest and high valuations out there. Startup todays are being squeezed from several sides. Investors, which allow companies to go public without the scrutiny of conventional public offerings, after a string of those companies struggled or went out of business. High interest rates, and the cost of, yada yada. Investors and say slimmer valuations are going on. It's sort of a two-step gut punch, said Julian Conahan. He's a general partner at San Francisco-based Schematic Ventures. You have to perform as well as you thought you would, but you have to do it with much smaller team. That has been really hard for a lot of companies. I personally think that this is what separates the pretenders from the players, based off of what he just said right there. And again, I'm not trying to formulate an opinion, but like, you have to fucking perform as well as like you. I don't understand. And see, like, this is the problem with easy money, is that you just think that it's just going to be a constant flow, right? And then you have to get fucking really resourceful in markets like this that you're in across the board. This isn't just a logistics thing right now. The way that things are, you have to get very resourceful, and you might have to work harder with a smaller team, which is going to mean what? You're going to have to work more hours, and that's fine. But if you're not cut out for it, I mean, I'm sure somebody would hire you. And it goes on to say Convoy, which raised $260 million in Series E in April of 2022, that valued the broker at $3.8 billion, laid off workers over the past year, as did Transfix, which, like Convoy, is digital tools out there. Last year, Transfix postponed a SPAC merger that the startup hoped would raise $375 million. Instead, the company pursued private funding round that raised $50 million, according to PitchBook. A spokesman for Transfix declined to verify the report on the funding round. Jonathan Salama, he's the co-founder of Transfix, said in a statement, "This sector should always have investor interest." So yeah, I think that a lot of, as this article kind of gets wrapped up out there, I think that, again, this is, and I think that this should be I look at it like this. Say you're a company out there and you're not you're not heavy tech focused and everything. I think that as a lot of these companies came through over these last years trying to digitize everything that had massive valuations or big valuations, and now they're either out of business or they're dwindling or hanging on by a thread. I think that is the general consensus and feedback from the shipper community and the people out there who maybe don't necessarily see the value in a lot of these tools right now. So I think that for the little guy that's out there, the one who's scraping and clawing and trying to build up their business that doesn't have the luxury of a massive tech budget, there's still customers out there for you. There's still prospects that are out there for you. Not for everyone, right? Like there's plenty of customers out there who want to digitize things. I have a pretty solid mix of both, to be honest with you. And I think, though, that this is where, again, this is where the real players are going to show up, you guys. The market that we're in right now, this is where the real players are going to perform. This is where the real players are going to show massive growth. I think that if you are out there over the next 12 or 18 months, or whatever that is, that you're going to be looking for a job, the companies that are posting growth right now, those are the ones that you're going to want to jump on board with. Hands down. Those are going to be the ones, because those are the ones that can fucking survive and perform in any freight market. Because when money's easy, you guys, and I think that we're seeing this over the last couple of years, money was easy for the most part, right? The ones that are still kicking today, those are the ones who are going to make it no matter what. And that just shows you who I would want to. Again, I'll never work for anybody ever again. But if I was in that position over this next, 12 to 18 months, I would only want to work with the companies. I would pay attention, because all this stuff is public information, right? Like if you're out there looking at, what broker would I want to go work for example, look at the top 100 list that puts out by TT News and follow the 2021, because it's all out there on their website, the 2021 top 100, 2022, 2023 top 100. And then when they get into 2024 top 100, look at the companies that are constantly growing, even through a downturn. They're constantly growing and they're pushing that needle. They're reinvesting. They're opening up new offices. They're out there making stuff happen. Those are the companies that I want to jump on board with, because those are the ones who have the right strategy in place. And those are the ones who are going to, I would assume, make it through any market out there. I can't guarantee fucking anything, but that's just my assumption. That article, you guys, is wallstreetjournal.com. As pandemic era investor eases, money gets tight for logistics startups. But I also think if you're a real deal company out there, you're going to have no problem raising capital in any market. Let me see here. Albert Hurd, good morning. Al's Moving, good morning. Thanks for tuning in. Devon McKinney, good morning. Thanks for tuning in. And Brian Hagan, good morning. Thanks for tuning in here, guys. And that's going to be it for today. Freight Coach Morning Show, you guys. As always, if you guys saw value in it, subscribe and share the show, you guys. Rank the show. Get it out there. If you got value in it, if you thought, but if you didn't, if you thought I sucked, don't. No, it's that simple, you guys. I go off of value exchange. But we'll be back tomorrow, you guys. 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, the Freight Coach Morning Show. We are the top podcast in transportation. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon.